friends, welcome back to my channel. It's Megan and welcome to November. I cannot believe it's already November, but you know what that means? It means it's time to talk about the books we read in October. If you were following along at all, you would know that October was not the best reading month for me. I did read quite a bit, surprisingly, when I counted it all up in the end, but it just wasn't, I felt like it wasn't the best month. Like, it just felt like I was in a slump the whole time. It felt like I wasn't really enjoying books for the most part. So I did end up at 17 books, but surprisingly 17 books is the worst reading month I've had so far. But without further ado, let's jump into what I read in October. The first group of books I read was the Love and Other Destinations trilogy by Jenna Evans Welch. These were adorable. They talk a lot about family and they have some wanderlust vibes. However, they don't have quite what I was expecting and they feel a little juvenile to me, and yeah, they weren't my favorite. I did really love Love and Olives, but out of these two, they weren't the best to me. So Love and Gelato, we are following a girl who just recently found out she has a father that's alive. I mean, obviously she has a father, but she just recently learned who her father was after her mother passed away, and she has to go live with him, and it's super awkward. They live in a cemetery, which was cool, but also a weird setting to me. And I thought this one was gonna go into like Italy more than it actually did. So yeah. Next was Love and Luck, which was probably my least favorite of the series. This one, a girl and her brother are at odds, so it's them rekindling their sibling relationship. And yeah, I mean, and they're, again, adorable. I think for, if you're looking for something light and fluffy and fun, I think they're a great time, but I don't think they're something that I would go back to. Love and Olives, however, I really enjoyed, and luckily these are companion novels, but Love and Olives, our main character Olive, she really doesn't like get talked about in the first two books, so this does feel like it can stand as a standalone. And in this, we are following a girl who has an estranged relationship with her father because he left in search of Atlantis. It has a really beautiful rekindling of a relationship with your father. It has so much more wanderlust in this. It has the Atlantis vibes, but it also has really great representation of mental health, and it touches on those topics really well. So this was my favorite of the series. I'm going to be unhauling the other two, but this one really stood out to me and I'll be keeping it. Next, I reread The Beautiful by Renee Ahdieh. This is following Celine, who is running from her past. She had a really bad experience in Paris. I've talked about it before, but I'm not going to go into it here. She had a bad experience she's running away from, and she runs to a convent in New Orleans and is very dedicated to just living the simple life, finding a husband, having kids, and being content in life. However, she is struggling with this internal conflict of, is she really cut out for that life, or does she want more? Like, does she want to live life? Does she not want to just watch life pass her by, and does she want to have the adventures herself? So I really loved that internal conflict. It also has like paranormal vibes, and it's a murder mystery set in New Orleans, so it was just fantastic. I really loved it, and this cliffhanger, I hated and loved it at the same time, and I just need to pick up The Damned finally. That is the goal in November. Next, I read One of Us is Lying and One of Us is Next. One of Us is Lying, we are following a book that is basically The Breakfast Club mixed with a murder mystery. In this, we have Bronwyn, who is the brain. She is set up to be the valedictorian. She wants to go to Yale, I believe it is, or one of those higher schools. We also have Addie, who is known as the beauty. She's the popular girl at school. We have Nate, who is the criminal, I guess you could say. He has a really bad home life, and so he does sell drugs on the side in order to like maintain a life for himself because his parents aren't really there for him. And then we have Cooper, who is the athlete, and he is like the star athlete being petitioned by several colleges to come be recruited for their team, so on and so forth. And finally we have Simon. Simon runs a virtual blog sort of thing that he reveals people's secrets on, and everyone knows it's run by him, but the administration of the school doesn't really do anything about it, and Simon just exposes like everyone's secrets and that sort of thing. And one day, somehow, all 5 of them end up in detention together, and in detention, Simon dies. And it is revealed that this has been a murder, and our 4 main characters are the suspects. And it was so good. I did see the ending coming, so it is what it is, but I found it really entertaining, and I think I gave it 4 stars. This one is the sequel, in which we are following Bronwyn's younger sister, her best friend, and one of the other kids at school. And it's basically someone, they are taking after Simon and trying to spread rumors through this truth or dare game. I didn't enjoy it as much as One of Us is Lying. I think this could have stood on its own, honestly, and I don't think we needed the sequel. But I will say I really did love Bronwyn's little sister Maeve's point of view in this, so it was good. But I'm probably going to unhaul these, honestly. This was fun for while it lasted, and I probably will watch the TV show, but I don't foresee myself ever picking it up again. I already saw what was coming, so just reading it over again, already knowing what was coming, it just doesn't sound appealing to me. And like I said, this one wasn't as good. I will say I really liked the ending. I did not expect the twist at the end, so I will pick up the One of Us is Back, which is coming out in like 2 years, I think, so I'll pick that up, but I don't foresee reading these 2 ever again, but they are worth the first read to me. Next, I picked up some graphic novels and manga. I read Sailor Moon Volume 3, and in this we got a little bit more of Serenity's backstory, I guess you could say, so that was fun for me. Sailor Venus is still my favorite at the moment, but I'm excited to meet the other Sailor Scouts as well, like Sailor Pluto, Neptune, Jupiter, we already have Jupiter, Saturn? I don't know, but I'm excited to meet the other ones, and it's just really cool to learn about the backstory, and I'm just having a lot of fun with it. I don't have much to say, it's just entertainment, honestly. Next, I picked up Sheets and Delicates by Brenna Thumler. These are so adorable. Definitely a great like spooky read, but honestly you could read them at any time. In this we are following a main character who has just recently lost her mom, and she's trying to maintain like the family through this loss. Her father has really just removed himself from doing anything and taking care of the family, so she's taken it upon herself to take care of him and her younger brother. And meanwhile we are also following this little ghost, and in this ghost world you are assigned a sheet and if you lose your sheet you lose your identity, that sort of thing. However, this ghost just decided that like he wants to go back to the real world, he wants to be remembered. However, the ghosts of this town are very put off at the idea of going back. They feel like they aren't loved or remembered anymore. They feel like people just fear and hate ghosts, so it's like against the rules to go back. But he sneaks back and he befriends our main character. Just an adorable read. It talks on like grief, it talks on friendship, and it's a lot of fun. And this one, Delicate, it's the sequel. It goes more into that friendship aspect. We also get a new main character who is like not a ghost hunter per se, but she's very avidly like into ghosts. She researches them and believes in them, and she's trying to like capture a photo of them. And our main character befriends her, but also not at the same time, because she has just recently become popular, and this new friend is kind of a pariah, I guess, of the social world and middle school. It really goes into what middle school felt like for me, so that was a little ugh, but hey, we're out of middle school, we're good. And then the last graphic novel I read was Witchy by Ariel Slamet Reyes, and I really enjoyed this one. This is a society in which the witches are determined how powerful they are based on the length of their hair, and if you have a certain length of hair, you are recruited into this army to protect the empire or kingdom or whatever. However, if your hair is too long, then you are burned. So there's this like fine line about where your hair can be. You're not allowed to cut it, that sort of thing. If you cut it, you're burned. It's just crazy. And our main character actually experienced her father being burned for his length of hair when she was a young girl, and she's now in witch school, and they have just started the trials to recruit the new class of the army, and she actually has super long hair, but she's charming it to hide the length, and she does not want to be recruited into this. She just wants to live a simple life and be forgotten, basically. But it is revealed that she actually has the long hair, so she escapes. So fun. I really want to pick up the second novel. Next, I read a few more books in the Witchlands trilogy. Not trilogy, what the heck did that come from? The Witchlands series. We read Wind Witch, and this one, I don't want to say it like follows certain characters more, but I do think we got a little bit more of Merrick's perspective in this than last time. And then Sight Witch, this one followed Ryber, who is a Sight Witch, which was not actually revealed till this book, so that's exciting. This one's more of a like novella per se. It's a 2.5 in the series, and it's actually told through journal entries, which was super interesting to me. I really loved this one. It allowed a lot for like theorizing throughout the rest of the series and picking up on things that I had no idea were coming. But I will say the Witchlands series just gets better as it goes. Like, the first one is so confusing. I think Susan Dennard is definitely one of those authors that you just have to trust the process kind of thing. It's very confusing, but like the more you read, the more you build on that foundation. Even though there's not really much of a foundation to build on at first, you just like learn more and it gets better as you go. And I was very skeptical at first, I'm not gonna lie, but I truly do believe like it's just getting better now, and I'm very excited to keep reading Blood Witch. Next, I read A Lesson in Vengeance by Victoria Lee. This one's very hard to explain because if I get too much into the explanation, I'm going to spoil things. So I'm going to leave it at, this is about a girl who lost her best friend at school, and she's returning to the school where she lost this best friend and dealing with the mental health and trauma of that, and she believes she's being haunted by that best friend. So it's a fantasy thriller with a unreliable narrator and some witch aspects. It's very hard to explain, but so fun. I gave it 4 stars. I really enjoyed it. I do believe that some of the characters felt a bit token-esque, like they were just in there for the sake of representation rather than fulfilling an actual role, if that makes sense. But otherwise I really enjoyed it. I somewhat saw it coming in the end, but also not at the same time. So yes, I hope that made sense, but it was really good. Next, I read We Were Liars. In this, we are following a very unreliable narrator, mostly because she suffered a head injury and has amnesia, and she just doesn't remember anything that happened, and the whole story is trying to piece together what happened, and it's very confusing but very good at the same time. I definitely see why people hate it. I definitely see why people love it, and I think you're either one or the other. I'm more on that love it side. I really enjoyed it. I love unreliable narrator trope. This was a lot of fun for me. I don't know if I'd ever pick it up again. I would probably give it, I gave it 4 stars. But otherwise, I think it was a fun book. Next, I read The Inheritance Games by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. This was one of my most anticipated reads, and it definitely stood up to that anticipation for me. I did give it 4 stars. I think I would have enjoyed it more as a physical read, because in the audiobook they talk about the different grandsons a lot, and they switch back and forth a lot, and sometimes the grandsons are talking and referring to other grandsons, and it was just really hard to keep track. Do recommend reading this as a physical book if you haven't picked it up yet. But in this, we are following a girl who has mysteriously been chosen to receive the entire inheritance of this real estate mogul guy that has just billions of dollars, and she has no inkling why she has been selected as this recipient, and the whole family basically hates it. The only stipulation is that she has to live in his mansion with the family that basically hates and wants to kill her for 1 year. There is a lot of riddle aspects to this. There's a lot of like mystery to it, and it definitely has that Knives Out vibe. So I highly recommend this one. And finally are my favorite 2 books of the month. First, we have Kikis Delivery Service by Aiko Kodono. This is an adorable, adorable middle grade novel about a young witch who is in her first year of training as a witch, and she has started a delivery service. It has beautiful lessons and quotes, and I really want to reread it and annotate it because I was so happy, grinning from ear to ear reading this book, and I honestly couldn't have asked for more. I wasn't sure what I was gonna feel going into it. I thought it might have been a bit juvenile for me and I wasn't gonna like it, but I was very happily mistaken on that front and really, really enjoyed this book. And finally is If the Shoe Fits by Julie Murphy. This is book 1 of the Meant to Be series put on by Disney Hyperion. That is a series of books that are adult romance and retellings of classic Disney fairy tales. So this first one is Cinderella in a bachelor setting. In this, we are following Cindy, who is a shoe designer and has been offered the opportunity to participate in her stepmother's Before Midnight show, which is again a bachelor-esque show, and I really loved the aspects of the step family not hating each other. It was just like miscommunication trope almost, or not really miscommunication, but just that step family, there's still that like not tension but uncomfortability with some topics, but otherwise they were a very loving step family, which I really enjoyed, and I just loved the romance in this. I loved the bachelor trope. I loved Cindy. I really enjoyed this novel. Those are all the books I read in October. Again, it was my worst reading month thus far, but I still read quite a lot and still found a few really good books. I hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know what you read in October or if you've read any of these, and I will see you in my next video. Bye everyone!